Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, lovely to spend time with you. Now today I've created a little design. Again, it's lovely when you get in touch, and a few of you have asked for an A6 card design. But also I think this one you could make larger if you wanted, just by extending this. As you know, I like to give you alternatives, but also one that would be suitable for lots of different occasions and using a mix of old and new stamps. So we've got quite a lot to work on there, haven't we? So this is the design I've come up with. As always, I've got my lovely envelope stamped up in permanent ink, and I've gone for our beautiful inner door. And the idea that I'm thinking here, this could be for a male birthday, retirement. It could be new beginnings. You've got a door. If it's somebody, even something like, say, Father's Day, you could put a pot. If it was a gardener, this could be the door to the potting shed. It says Enchanted Garden, so you could put some little pots around it. We've got our lovely set of pots. So there's so much you could do with it. If you wanted to make it for more of a female, instead of the leaves, again, you could add some florals, even add some florals up around the door. And dare I say, yes, we could Christmas it up as well. So that's the idea. And what I love is I'm really into making one corner really dark and then the other nice and light. So we've sort of got opposite. We've almost got very clean white edges this side and then very dark on the opposite corner. And I just think that works really well. It's so effective. But you could equally, if you haven't got the door, you could maybe have a mushroom there with, say, Pippin sat on. But again, using the techniques that we're going to do. As always, I just want to pop in, give you a bit of inspiration, but I know you clever lot. You'll have lots of different ways of using this. But I just think it's nice, and I purposely haven't put a sentiment on the design because I'm thinking I'm going to wait and see what I use this card for a birthday or retirement or... So that's why I haven't, but we've got so many lovely, we've got our sticker sentiments, we could stamp sentiments. I've got a lovely space here. I could stamp, it could be a birthday card. So that's the idea. Now I know you're going to ask, and this is 3.5 inches across and 5 1/4 down. And for me, that's just the right size to go on my A6 card blank. And I'm going to start by stamping the inner wooden door. And I'm using Versafine Clair, and I'm going for Pinecone. I love this colour, I use it a lot. Now again, you could really vintage this, make it a vintage design. And I'm just going to stamp this in this bottom corner. But what I want to do, I want to almost fuzzy this edge here. So just with a cloth or inky binky, or I'm just going to take a little bit of that ink off. And we'll stamp it. Something I like to do that, just if I want the foliage to go across it and almost fuzzy it, it just for me gives it a little bit better effect. So you see, it looks like I haven't stamped it properly, but obviously I took that ink off. And then I'm going to come in with the maple leaf. Now, I love this design, but what I'm going to do is team it up. We've also got a smaller version in our minis. I think it's leaf 5, this one. So I'm going to use the two together. I love looking for stamps that sort of mix and match. And I'm thinking that's just going to come across there, look. Again, if you're one of our new followers, which is lovely, so welcome to you. It's nice to use the acetate. Gives me an idea, but that's why I fuzzied that edge. So when I stamp that, I know it's definitely not going to show through. So I'm going to stick with the same colour for the minute for my larger stamp. So I hope you're okay. How are you feeling? I hope things are going okay. I'm just going to stamp this in the corner, look. I like to have things overlapping. I think it just looks more natural. And I know I've not got a lot, but that's enough. I just wanted that larger stamp there. Then I'll come in with my smaller one. And what I want to do for this is have a mix of colours. So I've decided to bring in one of the new ones, the Portobello. And I like to mix with my older ones, so the summertime. So I'm thinking I've got a sort of a dark and a mid-brown and an orange. So maybe we'll start with a little bit of orange. So I'm just going to... I like to go for the lighter colours first, although look at that. Somebody didn't clean this stamp, did they, before? I think that might have been me. You know when you've got your mind on something else, which I did have. But, I mean, it'll work fine, but it does mess with my head. You know what I'm like. I just want a couple. And I'm using first and second generation. So second generation is where you don't ink up again. So you get a much paler. And that just helps. I want to build this up. I want it to look as natural as possible. So give that a quick wipe. With the Portobello now. So I'm building up my colours. And if possible, as I say, I want it to look nice and sort of natural. And I'm just going to alter the angle so it's not always the same. And I'm thinking we'll have one there. Let's just ink that up again. One there. And maybe second generation up there. So as I say, I'm building up this corner. Now I'll stop there with those, but I can always come back and add a little bit more. But I want to come back and just add a couple with the Pinecone, just to bring in some nice depth. So I'm thinking one there. I like that shape there now. But I definitely need one up here. And I quite fancy one there. Maybe a little bit of second generation there. Just need something in that corner. I am going to add some ink. So I think I'll leave it there. And I can always add a little bit more. Maybe just, have I got a hint? Just in the background there. Right, stop. Walk away. So I'm going to give that a blot. Just because it's a permanent ink. And I don't want to smudge it when I add my lovely stencil work. So we'll get rid of the copy paper. Now I know the door looks like it's floating, but once I add the ink, it'll be fine. We won't notice that. So what I'm going to do now is come in with the stencil, and I've gone for the ivy stencil. I just thought I loved the idea of the ivy sort of growing up around the door. And I want it growing straight up, so I'm going to put it that way. Originally I was thinking of doing that, and I thought no. But I do want the stenciling to trail that way. But I just fancy my ivy straight, and I like this one here. Now I'm going to come in with Sahara, and I've got my brush with Sahara on, and I want the colour darker around the door. Now I could mask the door, but the fact that I can see through the stencil, there's no need. So always dabbing off on the lid. Just going to start with the most colour round the door, and if you look, oh, that's nice. But then I want it to sort of wispy up here. So I'm not going to add any more ink to my brush. And just maybe fuzzy this edge a little bit. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's nice. Maybe just a touch around that one there. And you can be really specific, look. Just finish off that lovely sort of heart there. Yes. And I like that shape. If I bring that closer, can you see? It's just such a lovely shape, that. So that was the Sahara. Fabulous colour. I use it a lot. Now I'm going to leave this, spritz it, and pop that on another piece of card after. So what we'll do now is bring some colour in this corner. And I'm going for my scorched timber. As you know, I have a little bit of a thing of scorched timber. But before I do that, I'm going to come in with my number 3 brush and do that sort of cheat on colouring and just add a bit of a base coat here on the door. Now I am going to come in with my pencils and add more detail, but just for the base of that door, And this is a lovely, quick and effective way. If you've not done this, have a go. I love the number 3 brush for this. So as you can see, that's very quickly added that base colour. Now, you can use a brush for this. I like to use a little, the Lavinia blending sponge, just because I can get the colour on quicker. But it's whatever suits you. To be honest, sometimes it depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes I use a brush for this, sometimes the sponge. Now, I'm starting in the corner, look, every time I ink up, because I want the corner darker. And then only when I've blended that ink will I gingerly just come along to that corner. And I'm sort of pressing lighter as I go. And the same with this, ink up again in that corner. And then when I've got less ink, look, I'm nice and gingerly. And as I come up here, I'm almost getting lighter with those circular motions, because I want it nice and light. And that way you almost want it to be graduated. So you've got this lovely dark depth in the corner and it moving light as it goes up. So I'm happy with that. But obviously I must be mindful. We've got ink here. So we'll give this a bit of a spritz. Now if you've got spare card, you could smoosh that, give yourself a background. Just drag your card through. But I'm just going to clean it up today. Make sure that's nice and clean. Anyway, it adds a bit of brown to my inky binky, doesn't it? I do think he's colouring up very nicely. Now, I'm going to use my lovely pencils. As you know, can't say the word, just can't get my teeth around it. So these lovely pencils, again, they're on the website. And the colours I'm going to use, I've picked them out here. And we've got number 2. Number 29, 32 and 33. Now, I always tell you this, I'm not a colourist, so I'm just going to lightly add some yellow to my little doorknob look and to the sign, and then just to the top of the door here for a bit of highlight, and in the middle here. And then I'm going to come in with a darker colour and just go at this side to darken it, and again at the base here, and being mindful that which way the grain of the wood's going. And again there would be shadow under here and at the base. And then I've got an even darker brown just to come in, just for a bit more depth on this side. And then what I'm going to do, just with my water brush here, just going to move that colour so we've got the lovely yellow on the sign. And again, I tend to do lighter to dark, it works better for me. So I'm going to come in here with the yellow look and then blend in that lovely brown and then blend down that dark brown. Just drag it up a little bit here so it looks like it's the grain of the wood. Clean my brush. And then in again, I've got the lovely light bits here. And then blending in that dark. And then we'll come in. Oh, you see how that just picks that dark up there. So very quickly, I've got some lovely tone on my door. Now, as I say, you could easily extend this and make it even larger. Now, I just thought when I got to this stage and I was designing it, it just looked like something was missing. Now, as I say, if you fancy doing this for a female friend, you could add some florals, but I was trying to be really good and not specifically add florals. So what I did was I went for one of these lovely, the signs we've got. And this is the spirit signs. Now, I've gone for this one, which is June the 12th to July the 12th. And I thought it fits in. I wasn't sure which one to go for, so I thought I'll do it for the time of year. So this will be fabulous if it was somebody's birthday. Obviously, you could use the sign for their date of birth. Now, as you know, I like to put an arrow just on the back of my stamp because I am a bit of a tinker and I am likely to stamp it upside down. I have done that before. and I'm going to come in with sand dune. Now, when I add a verse or a sentiment, especially if I'm going to use a verse as a background like this, I would always stamp it on my copy of paper first, give myself a first, second, and then even a third generation. And now I think the second's quite light. I like the first. But I will use a couple of second, but I'm going to start off with the first, and down here where I want the majority of it, and I've just got to check it straight, we'll have first generation there. And then I'm going to ink it up again, and then above the door, again checking it's the right way up, we'll have another first generation, but let's just snip in a little second generation. And then possibly another first there. And then I'm just going to cover the door, and let's just do a second. Now I want another second, so I'm just going to ink it off on my mat. Put a second there. And I like that because it's not really obvious. I like the combination with that second. So once again, that was the sand dune. Such a lovely mix of colours, these. Now, again, you could add glitter. I'm being mindful, thinking if this was for... and I know there are some men that like glitter, so I'll just say for the recipient who likes glitter. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit of brown there. It was a bit too white. I do that. I don't know about you. I'm forever doing things like that. I just want to enhance the door a bit more. So I'm going to come in with my... And again, everything's on the floor next to Eric. My lovely soft pastel pencils. He's so good, you know, he never lies on anything. When I've got all my stuff, it literally goes around him. And let's come in with the yellow to start off with. And just on this edge, I'm going to add just as a highlight, maybe just at the top of the door. And then we've got a lovely dark brown. And again, you know me, I just tend to turn my work. And that can just add some shadow to this side. And if I need a little bit just underneath it here. Now, you can smudge these with your finger. I'm trying to be good and not get my hands dirty because I want to keep this sort of cleanish area. So, biodegradable cotton bud. And I'm just going to smudge that pastel there, that yellow. And this will fix it. But also, to me, it always looks a bit better if it's been smudged. Just blow any bits away. Again, I'm trying not to swipe it with my hand. And I like that. You see how that's almost disappeared away the edge? So with the other end, we'll go into the brown now and just smudge the brown down this side. And that'll give us that lovely shadowing. And again at the base here. And it'll just go nicely into where we've got that darker ink. And I think that really makes the door pop. And it almost makes it look a bit sinister. Now maybe with the black, just might add a little bit more shadow in there. I didn't on my original, but I think it'll just... Yeah, makes that just pop a bit more, doesn't it? I'm going to put this back because I can use that again. So I'm not going to add any glitter. What I am going to do is come in with my lovely yellow sparkly posca, just to add sort of a bit of, I think it will just set the whole design off in this corner. Now, if you like your white posca, you could always add some white posca at this point. I'm just going to give it a shake. Now, you could add white highlights if you want. I like this one with the yellow. I just wanted to keep the yellow tones. And I'm just going to come in this corner to the edge and then up this side. Little bit round the door, just sort of magical and up there, but then stop. And as I say, for me, so I'm just going to wipe my mat just in case I've got any posca on there. For me, I just think it's a lovely quick design. And as I say, once you pop it, if I open this, when you put it on the card, look, I love the way we've got that lovely dark depth in this corner, but then this lighter area here. Now, I do think, again, the lovely little palm butterfly, you know, our little mini flutter, you could add a couple of those, maybe even with a sentiment banner. So there's a lot you could do with this, but I do think it looks quite magical. And as I say, I do love that depth here and the white here. It really takes your eye, sort of floats it up in the sky. And we'll just slide the envelope under there, just so we've got that nice set together. So I hope you have a go at this. Now, as I say, this is an A6 design, but I think you could make it large and do it on a larger design. Just extend this stamping. I mean, if you wanted, you could introduce one of your little mushrooms here. Introduce Pippin. I think the whole thing, you could really take it to the next level, couldn't you? So many things you can do with this. And as I say, I know you clever lot. I know you will. So I can't wait to see what you do. As always, thanks for joining me. I do appreciate your company. I love spending time with you. So much so, I'm going to pop back tomorrow. So you take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for all your friendship and support. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.